And welcome to Daphne VTV. I've got a question for you. In fact, I hope you will indulge and engage because in the comment section is where all the action happens. What is the one shared human experience? Think about it for a minute. What would your guess be? Is it love? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it happiness? Is it acceptance? Maybe it's rejection. Maybe it's hate. Well, the actual answer is, drum roll please, pain. Yep, I didn't say it was a good one. But the truth is the one shared human experience is pain. And I'm going to talk to you about finding both peace and purpose in today's episode of the Daphne V TV show, a show for chain breakers and wave makers wanting to live a well-done life. Welcome and thank you for joining me for this special episode. I mean, I'd like to think all of them are special. However, this is a different day at a different time because as I shared on Instagram, Daphne V Smith on Instagram, that tomorrow I'm going to be up to my neck in boxes. You see, that one shared human experience I mentioned is something I'm going through right now myself. I am in the process of a major life change. And part of that includes moving. And so 4 years ago, I moved into this dream home. Well, it was a home that we redid and made it my dream home. And now we are selling it and we are starting new chapters. And so I realized I can look at that pain in a couple of different ways. And that's what I want to help you with today. So this is not an episode about moving. This is an episode about acknowledging the fact that we all share one thing in our lives, and that is pain. And what we do with that pain makes all the difference in the world. So are you a woman who is hurting, who is struggling to embrace the pain that you're in and push through it to healing? If so, stick with me for the next few minutes because we're going to talk about it. We're going to get real, maybe a little salty, but always authentic and honest. So I would imagine if you are in pain that you would like to alleviate it. I mean, unless you're, what is that? Is it a masochist or a sadist? It's one of the two. I'm not real sure. But a person who enjoys inflicting pain on themselves is one of those two words. And unless you're one of those, I mean, if you're in pain, I would imagine your goal would be to get out of that pain. But first, we need to identify the type of pain that you may be experiencing. So here's the first insight of the three I want to share with you today. The first insight is identify the pain. You see, the two main types of pain are chronic and acute. And I don't mean like, cute. I mean like quick, like rip a Band-Aid off, like intense beyond belief, but then it goes away. See, chronic pain is often pain that is unchangeable. So I'm thinking about like my mom, who has been in several car wrecks, has some really jacked up discs in her neck, and she's pretty much in pain every day. She's done the treatments, she's gone to the therapies, all the things, and she just remains in pain. That is chronic pain. There's not really a whole lot she can do to change it. But we also experience different types of chronic pain that can be alleviated. For example, one of my mentors had messed up a rotator cuff and it created chronic pain. That pain was something he dealt with and lived with and learned to adapt to on a daily basis until he decided to experience acute pain by going through surgery, which would alleviate the chronic pain. Maybe you are in some emotional pain, financial, relational, or physical pain. And because it's almost chronic, because you've somewhat gotten used to it, there's a certain familiarity around it, you may not realize that that pain could be resolved and alleviated with some acute pain. So let's talk a little bit about what acute pain looks like. I mentioned ripping off a Band-Aid. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, oh gosh, I just hated that. It was such an intense feeling. And now in hindsight, I mean, come on, y'all, really. But there are other types of acute pain. And hey, Leslie, how are you? Thanks for joining us from across the pond. Acute pain may mean needing to end a relationship. Acute pain may mean needing to leave a job. Acute pain may mean needing to press through that workout in order to alleviate long-term chronic pain, because it's been proven with arthritis and with other health issues that exercise will help minimize those types of pain. So the first insight is to identify the type of pain you're in. Is it chronic pain or is it acute pain? And could acute pain alleviate the chronic pain? If you are currently experiencing acute pain, hang on, my sister. Tie a knot in that rope and hang on. It's called acute pain because there is an end in sight. May not have a date and a time, but acute pain will end and it can alleviate the chronic pain. So insight number 2 is, how do you have peace in the pain? I mean, come on, it's pain because it hurts. First of all, ask yourself, is there something you can do to eliminate it? You see, it comes from knowing that brings enlightenment. When you consider a pain that you may be experiencing, and then you recognize that, hey, I can possibly alleviate this, that's going to take you to a new level of peace. That's going to put you in a new place. So ask yourself, is this a pain that is temporary? Is this a pain that I can grow through? You know, in my favorite book, there's a quote in John 5:6, and it says, when Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, do you want to get well? Now, I'm not here to judge. You know me better than that. I'm not here to condemn. I am here to convict. I am here to encourage. I am here to give you the salty truth. So if you are currently in pain, ask yourself, do you really want it to go away? Are you really ready to get well? Because if you're experiencing chronic pain, it's going to take acute pain for you to get well. And it's not going to be fun, but it can be transformative. So first of all, identify the pain. Is it something that can be alleviated? And then ask yourself, get real with yourself. Is this something you want to alleviate? Are you really ready to get well? You know, when you recognize the source of the pain, that alone will give you some freedom and some relief. That alone will give you some power. And when you recognize it, you'll be able to stop fighting it, right? You're not going to be clashing, going against it. It's not going to be, here's the pain and here's your frustration. It's here's your pain, and your frustration opens up because you've identified it. And you can now, with grace and empathy, embrace it and say, hey, pain, what can we do about this? Let's try to alleviate this. So no, early on, I asked you to put in the comments what you thought the number one shared human experience is. And if you would be so bold, would you be willing now to share, have you ever experienced chronic pain? And or have you ever experienced acute pain? I'd love to hear from you. Now, we've talked about identifying chronic pain or acute pain. That was insight number one. Insight number two is experiencing peace in the pain. And that's going to come from identifying it and understanding it. Is this something that can be relieved? Is it something that's so familiar that you've learned to accept it when in reality, you can really let it go? And finally, insight number three is how to find purpose in the pain. I know that may sound a little crazy. Like, whatever kind of pain you're in right now, you may be like, how the heck am I going to find purpose in this? Well, let me tell you, if you're an author, entrepreneur, a speaker, coach, you most likely have experienced pain in your life. And as an overcomer, as someone who's gone through it, you have wisdom and knowledge and tools and resources that you could share with somebody else. Doing so puts a purpose to your pain. Helping someone else be relieved from their pain may be exactly why you're going through your pain. You know, Kelly Clarkson has a song, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." So if you are stronger from your pain, I mean, I've experienced childhood molestation. I've experienced verbal, emotional, physical abuse. I've experienced a failed marriage. All of those are pains. They are wounds if I allow them to fester, but they are scars if I allow them to heal. There's a difference. Think about that. Are you living in your wounds, or are you allowing them to heal so that they become scars? You know, we often hear that one of the purposes of pain, especially if you're a person of faith, is that it's going to increase your character. To which I respond, honey, I got enough character. I don't need any more. But it's true. That endurance from going through the pain has made me the woman I am today. And, you know, don't be putting hate in there. I like myself. I'm pretty comfortable with me being me. And when you go through the pain that you've gone through and you allow yourself to find the purpose in it, I bet you're going to feel the same way. You know, when we are in pain, it's very easy to not see ourselves as our best. And yet, when we give ourselves our best at the time, okay, now recognize that where you are today, if you are actively in pain right now, that you can give yourself some grace. You can give yourself some empathy. You can do that maybe on your own or by seeking support from another. So as we wrap up today, I just kind of want to summarize everything for you, and I want to give you a special invitation. I want you to, number one, search out the source. Seek out the source. What is the source of this pain, and what is causing your pain? What kind of pain is it? Then, number two, how can that pain be managed? Numbing it is not the answer, okay? Let me just tell you. I don't want you to numb your pain. I want you to fully experience it, because if you numb your pain, you also numb another feeling, right? So if pain is here on the spectrum of feelings, you've got all these other feelings. You can't just jump over them and numb this one. You're cutting these off as well as you work your way towards eliminating pain. So find ways to manage your pain. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's listening to music. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's hiring a counselor. There's lots of different pain management ways where you're not numbing it, you're acknowledging it so you can work through it. Because you gotta feel it to heal it. All right, that's quotable. You gotta feel it to heal it. And number 3, give yourself that permission to do the ugly cry, to yell and scream and hit the pillow, to acknowledge yourself that you are hurting. Don't try to hide it. Acknowledge it. Don't destruct. Don't do anything self-destructive. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying recognize your hurt and then ask yourself how you can manage it and or alleviate it altogether. So the bottom line here is you can embrace the pain that you're in, or maybe the pain that you experienced before. And when you do that, you can find peace in it and you can find purpose in it. You don't have to stay stuck in the pain. You have a choice. And so here's what I'd like to do. For everyone who is ready to get rid of the pain, to work your way through it, I'm going to invite you to write a list. Create a list of your wounds, a wounds care list, okay? These are the things that hurt me. And then one of the first steps is identifying it. The second is sharing it. Because oftentimes we will be ashamed, we'll feel shame about our pain. And so we hide it. Well, as we say in the world of recovery, we're only as sick as our secrets. And whatever we keep in the dark has power over us. So I'm going to invite you to send that list to me. That's going to come directly to me. Nobody else is going to read it. Daphne@daphneVsmith.com. And allow me to pray over it for you and with you. I would be honored if you'd be willing to share it with me. And if I have a free resource that I can send to you, I will. So until next time, I want you to remember that when you embrace the pain, you can find the peace and purpose in it. And when you give yourself permission to feel, you give yourself permission to heal. So there it is.